Hey guys, it's Ravenhawk6910 reporting once again. In this review, we're going to take a look at a model that is, no joke, single-handedly responsible for getting me back into HO scale model railroading. This is the Scaletrains Museum Quality Wisconsin Central EMD SDL39. However, while this model is really great, it is not without certain issues which have cropped up post-delivery. And I'll address those as we continue on with the video, but for now, let's go ahead and get that disclaimer out of the way. The pros and cons in this video are not representations of my personal opinion. They attempt to be objective in nature and as such are either community opinions or facts about the models that I can represent on camera, so please don't think that anything in this review is my personal opinion unless I state so otherwise. Additionally, it's important to note that I do not speak on behalf of Scaletrains.com and am not endorsed by any company. I'm an independent reviewer and the work I do does not reflect the thoughts of any companies in question. Got it? Get it? Good. Okay, let's get started. EMD's SD39 was a 6-axle, 2,300 horsepower locomotive produced between 1968 and 1970, with a total of 54 models produced. The Milwaukee Road, however, asked EMD to come up with a version of the SD39 that was suited for light rail branch lines and tight curves. What they came up with was essentially a mini SD39. The SDL39 contained the same horsepower rating as the SD39, but lacked dynamic brakes and was built with a frame length of 55 feet 2 inches, which, fun fact, is exactly 9 inches shorter than the first mass-produced road switcher from EMD, the GP7. Only 10 units were produced, and all were bought by the Milwaukee Road. 5 were built in April of 1969, and the last 5 were built in November of 1972. Locomotive number 581 was destroyed in a wreck in 1983, leaving 9 units to go on to the Sioux Line after the merger with the Milwaukee Road. When the Sioux Line sold their Lake States division, no, not that one, in April 1987, to the newly formed Wisconsin Central Limited, they inherited the SDL39s. After Wisconsin Central was merged into Canadian National in 2000, the remaining 9 units were returned to the leaser and subsequently sold to FAPASA in Chile, where they remain to this day. Scaletrains announced the Museum Quality SDL39 in January of 2021 and delivered them around February of 2022, making this unit the second locomotive to be made in the Museum Quality line after the Union Pacific 8,500 horsepower super turbine. The models come loaded with features. DCC models include ESU lock sound on board and some awesome features only found in the Museum Quality line. I should also note that all 4 major road names that the SDL39s wore are included in this first run, including the Milwaukee Road, including the original Milwaukee Road versions, Sioux Line patch job versions, 4 versions of Wisconsin Central, and finally FAPASA. The model we're looking at here is WC582 and is one of the 2 later WC versions with operating ditch lights and the Wisconsin Central shield on the nose. Some of my favorite features of the locomotive are the lit gauges on the control stand in the cab, as well as the cab light which cuts on and off. I've seen this done on O-scale locomotives over the years, but not so often in HO. Both the long hood and the short hood ends of the locomotive have operating class lights which can be switched from white, green, red, and off. This is done utilizing function 5 on your DCC controller. Something else they did right with the Wisconsin Central units is gave them rapidly alternating ditch lights. For whatever reason, all of Wisconsin Central's locomotives had this feature and it really made them stand out. Also, both the front and rear ditch lights do this. Bonus. I will say though that I find it a bit unusual that the only way the ditch lights flash out of the box is via the bell function on function number 1. Shouldn't that be activated with the horn function? I don't know if this was an oversight or intentional, but hey, it's what we got, and they still look cool. Another museum quality feature of this locomotive is the wheel flange squeal on the sound file, as well as the frog clank sound effect. This happens every time the model rolls over a switch frog, making the distinct banging sound like on the prototype. However, while this is indeed a cool feature that I personally like, it, along with something else, has become a source of some controversy with these units. So let's go ahead and talk about that for a short minute. First off, to get the frog clank feature to work, Scaletrains installed 4 thin metal wires on the bottom of the trucks behind the innermost axle. The way the system works is when the unit is rolling over a frog, those wires are pushed up and tell the DCC decoder to play the sounds. It's simple and effective and it does work. However, some modelers, myself included, have found that these wires have a tendency to cause sparking when they make contact with the frogs. It's not enough to shut off the engine on its own in my experience, but it can shut down other locomotives on the layout. I'm not sure why Scaletrains left these wires as raw metal and didn't perhaps install a thin piece of shrink wrap to the wires to prevent this, or maybe even a coat of paint or something like that to prevent that, or some kind of thin coating. But it is a problem that some customers have noticed. The other problem relates to the pilot droop, as it has been dubbed. On both ends of the locomotive, the pilots seem to be forced down somewhat. And this is also present somewhat on my model as well. Though I'll say that for me, it's not really enough to notice unless you're looking for it. However, some modelers have said that the droop is so low that it has a negative impact on the operation of the model. Scaletrains has said that they are aware of this issue, however, and they have offered a fix for it. They've posted a video on their YouTube channel showing you how to fix this. I'll go ahead and drop a link in the description box of this video so you can check that out after you finish watching this. There's also a second video they posted for operating the locomotive's lighting feature on non-ESU decoders, which has also been somewhat of a problem for other modelers. While any problems that come up with a model are serious, I think Scaletrains has handled this in the best way they can, along with dealing with some of the, can I say childish backlash from some customers? Mistakes happen, and what matters at the end is not the mistake, but how the mistake is handled. If it really starts to bug me, I'll contact Scaletrains and get the parts I need to fix this, or I'll track down some of those parts myself and correct it. No big deal. And it wouldn't stop me from buying the model again. This thing's really cool. But anyway, enough of that. Let's go ahead and take a look at the SDL39 in operation. I'll be running my model using the Digitrax Zephyr Express system, and I'll also say that I did do some CV changes to the unit and replaced the out-of-the-box horn with a different one which you can access via the decoder. So with that being said, let's go ahead and run the 582 around for a little bit. Alright, that just about does it for the SDL39. These models have an MSRP of $349.99 for the DCC and sound-equipped models, and $259.99 for straight DC models. Scaletrains still has a good amount of these units in stock, so if you want one, go to www.scaletrains.com to check their availability. Personally, I really dig this engine. The SDL39 is the definition of an oddball, and I really like now that I don't have to hunt for a brass version of this unit anymore. As I said, it was this model that brought me back to HO scale because of how I've always liked them and wanted one. But anyway, that's all for now. Thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to smash the like button and leave me a comment down below, as well as subscribe to the channel if you're new. Until next time, this is Ravenhawk6910, signing off.